Welcome everyone to week 2. I want to start off by thanking everyone for participating in our introduction week. It was really a pleasure to learn a little bit more about each and every one of you and to see many of you take interest in getting to know your classmates. It's always really great, especially on that online setting, so thank you. This week I posted my bio, just a little bit about myself, my academic career, my professional career, kind of some inspirational things, ups and downs through life. So nothing that I'm going to hold you accountable for any type of exam, but if you're interested, please help yourself. This week, please take a look at that schedule. Know that your discussion questions are due by 11:59 on Sunday. This week I asked you to read the history of travel. Some major takeaways from that is be able to know why people traveled in the past and why people travel today. What are some similarities and differences? Also, keep close eye to the evolution of the transportation revolution. Knowing that as transportation evolved, so did the hospitality and travel and tourism industry. People were able to travel further at a more affordable rate. Therefore, the industry around it grew. Chapter 1 of the text, Service Makes the Difference, is kind of a change from some of the other editions, if you have the other editions. The past editions used to talk about the two components of hospitality, meaning the goods component and also the service component. So the goods component being, if you're staying at a hotel, the actual hotel room or the amenities. The service being those individuals that are serving you at the hotel. If it's a restaurant, the cheeseburger you're eating being the good, the service being those individuals that produce and serve that cheeseburger to you. This edition really focuses pretty much just on that, at least chapter 1, the service component. So really saying that what separates a good industry, or excuse me, a good hospitality business is going above and beyond. So they define service simply as work done by others. But then the authors also say that work done by others doesn't mean that it's a hospitable service. In a few moments, I'm going to even expand and say that giving a quality good, giving quality service is really not truly enough to be one of the top hospitality businesses. You have to go one step further. And what I'll propose is that you truly need to create an overall experience. But before I do that, I want to talk about the leader in you. So in the leader in you this week, I'm asking you to really start off by thinking about your strengths and your weaknesses. Our authors tell us, Mr. Carnegie and his associates tell us that there's no right or wrong way to be a manager, to be a leader. Leaders come in all shapes, all sizes. They have different qualities that make that individual a good leader. So what I've done is kind of just picked out keywords, and you'll see in that discussion question. What I want you to do is think about the leader you are right now. And a lot of you will say, well, maybe I haven't been a leader in the past. Maybe I have no hospitality experience. I have no management experience. But I'm pretty sure that some of you, have children, so you've been a leader. Some of you are big brothers or big sisters, so you've been a leader. Some of you are maybe even a younger sibling, but you have to be a leader to your older sibling. So I think all of us have some type of leadership skills. You've been on a sports team or what have you. So I want you to think about right now, where do you stand as a leader? What are your strengths, and then what are your weaknesses? And really this semester, this is going to help us out towards that last paper that's due the last week of classes. But I really want us to kind of identify what those strengths are, and we're going to highlight those strengths throughout the semester. And whatever those weaknesses are, we're going to identify, are they weaknesses? Are they something that we can improve upon? Maybe not to be a strength, but to at least that we're okay at. And then there's things called fatal flaws. Fatal flaws are things that will ultimately get us or stand in the way of our goals. So if someone said they want to be a CEO or a general manager of a huge resort that has, hundreds of employees, yet their weakness is public speaking. Well, to me, that's a fatal flaw because you're going to have to be able to address all of these employees. So that's not something that's necessarily a weakness. That could be a fatal flaw. If their weakness is, they're a procrastinator or possibly, time management, well, hopefully they can improve upon those things. So that's what we're going to discuss about in Chapter 1, is just, looking and identifying, strengths and weaknesses. Moving on to the PowerPoint I posted called Creating Memorable Customer Experiences in the Hospitality and Tourism Industry. This is, again, taking that next step that I said a few minutes ago. So not just are we providing a quality good, not are we only just providing a quality service as well, but we're giving a total experience. So think about the reasons why you go to a restaurant to eat. Unless it's a quick service place or a fast casual like a Chipotle or Panera, really we're generally going out to celebrate something. Is it a bachelorette party? Is it an anniversary? Is it a wedding? Same thing when you go to a hotel or a resort or a vacation. You're getting away. You're trying to experience something. So what I'm kind of proposing is that we need to provide more than just that good in service. In the lecture that I posted, you can see that I said that we're shifting from a service to an experience economy. You can look in one of the slides that says we went from the industrial economy, even prior to that the agricultural economy, to the industrial economy. We're now in the service economy. And what kind of scares me is that the hospitality industry, and if you remember from the brief history of travel, it talked about the hospitality industry being really the pioneer of the service industry. And what I mean by that is that people opened up their homes. They did something that, they were providing a service, something that really wasn't done by many industries. So the hospitality industry was really kind of on the forefront of providing a service. Well, guess what? Now everyone provides a service. The U.S. is no longer a manufacturing economy. We're a service economy. When I get my oil changed, it's something that's quick. It's a service. I don't have to leave my car. If I have problems with my computer, people can come, the Geek Squad from Best Buy will drive over here and provide that service for me. So what I worry about is that to be a quality hospitality business, and to really separate yourself from your competition, you have to do more than just provide a good and a service, because everyone's providing a service. You have to create a quality experience. So how do you do that? The PowerPoint talks about the 4 realms of an experience. They talk about creating an entertaining atmosphere. They talk about creating an aesthetically pleasing atmosphere. They talk about creating this escapist feel. And then they kind of tie that all up by saying, and also kind of educate your guests. Examples that I'll use, I'm going to use Starbucks in a few moments, and you'll see through this PowerPoint, but think of Rainforest Cafe, regardless of the product or maybe even the service. When you go there, there's an education piece. There's a escapist piece. You don't feel like you're in the Midwest in the middle of winter when you walk into a Rainforest Cafe. So that's an example. If anyone's ever been to medieval times, the restaurant where you're eating without utensils, you're seeing jousting from the medieval period. There's an entertainment piece to that as well. So these are examples of true experiences. In this PowerPoint, I do talk about, and I'll ask you as well in your discussion this week, I ask you about your best and worst experience. And you don't have to talk specifically about the hospitality industry. It can be from the retail industry. It can be from any service, any experience that you've had in the past. What made it good and what made it bad? I use the example of Starbucks as really an experience business. You can see on the PowerPoint that I use the commodity of a coffee bean. So in this lecture, I talk about taking a commodity and customizing it. So what Starbucks does is take something as simple as a coffee bean, and they personalize that coffee bean to you. And they end up writing your name and serving that for you and charging significantly more than the hard work that the farmer and also the roaster are doing. They're that final piece, but they find a way as a business to personalize it, to create an atmosphere that's welcoming where people will sit down, pay $5 for a cup of coffee, and socialize for an hour or 2 hours with friends. The company also does a really good job of engaging their audience. I have a gold card, from Starbucks. I'm loyal to that product and that good and that service. So Starbucks is just an example of what I think is, and I'll ask you, what you think is a good company as well online. And then the final piece I really want to touch upon is that understand that we now live in a very social society. Social media has impacted us a lot. So when we go back to that goods and services, providing a good in a product and a good service and ultimately, hopefully, a great experience, guests have expectations. If you meet those expectations, chances are we're not going to tell anyone. If we exceed those expectations, if the company exceeds our expectations, we might tell people on social media, we might tell friends and family. But I can guarantee you, if they don't meet expectations, you're going to be telling people. Think about Yelp, Twitter, Facebook, TripAdvisor. I know for a fact that's where I get a lot of my recommendations. I'm traveling to Europe this summer. I'm looking at places to stay based on what other people are saying. The PowerPoint that I gave you says that I believe it was 92%. 92% of consumers worldwide trust recommendations from friends and family. When you're looking at social media, 81% of Americans are influenced by their friends' social media posts versus 78% trusting the brand's post. So what that's saying is when you're making a decision on to potentially go on a vacation or potentially go to a restaurant or hotel, you'll believe what your friends and family say over what paid advertising or what that company is going to say about themselves. And it seems pretty common, but it's important to know. So word of mouth, the power of word of mouth in what we experience, so again, going to that goods and services, what we experience is very powerful. So I'm going to end it with that this week. I really want to try to keep these videos each week under 15 minutes. Hopefully I articulated kind of those two chapters from the book and from The Leader in You, along with the history of travel, and then also kind of this creating a memorable experience, customizing a product for a guest, making it feel memorable to that individual. So hopefully I made that a little bit clear for you. If I didn't, though, as always, please send me an email. Make sure that you're not just utilizing these PowerPoint notes, but that you're reading the chapters, that you're posting quality posts in the discussion boards. And again, if there's anything I can do for you, please send me an email. If not, I will see you next week, and I wish you a really great week.